You people requested for a Pochettino tactic at Chelsea, and well, here we are. What we have done is sold some players, we've cancelled some loans, we've also bought in some players to see how Chelsea will do under this 4-2-3-1 elite Pochettino tactic. We've also tested it at Espanyol just to make sure the tactic is good in Football Manager and all that good business. Obviously, Pochettino is rumoured to be joining Chelsea. Is he going there? Is he going somewhere else? Will Chelsea give him an 8-year contract? Those are questions that we don't know the answer to just yet, but what we can do is see what would happen if Pochettino went to Chelsea, and we're going to use Football Manager to do that. So we're going to break down the tactics, see how it goes, and yeah, without the further hold up, let's get stuck in to the video. So we've sort of already established that we are going to be using a 4-2-3-1. So we will be using breaking the lines tactical analysis on peak Pochettino during his time at Tottenham Hotspur in the 16-17 season, when of course he used the 4-2-3-1. In that season, that was the peak of Mauricio Pochettino's 5-year reign in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham finished with 86 points, their highest ever point total in the Premier League era, second place in the table, also the highest ever finish, and led the league in both goals scored and fewest goals conceded. In the process, they tied a club record for consecutive Premier League wins, 9, most wins in the Premier League season, 26, and the fewest defeats in the Premier League season, just the 4. Harry Kane scored 29 goals despite missing months due to injury and won the Golden Boot for the second straight year. And Spurs had 3 players, Kane, Son and Ali, score more than 20 goals in all competitions. Now that is going to be very difficult to replicate. During that season, Spurs played with 2 main formations, the 4-2-3-1 and the 3-4-2-1, with the usual personnel as you can see in the images. Their style of play, with the fullbacks pushing high and the central midfielder dropping deep, means both systems could interchange during the matches if required. The use of Eriksen and the anchorman of course was very important to Pochettino's tactics. Indeed, as you can see, when in the 4-2-3-1, it was not unusual for one of the attacking midfield trio, usually Christian Eriksen, to drop off and create a spare man in the centre. This helped Spurs build up a play to progress, as they rarely got outnumbered by a press, which was why it was important to get a player like Nkunku to come in and replace Eriksen in Football Manager. This movement from Eriksen also allowed one of Eric Dyer or Victor Wanyama, both equally used in this campaign, to drop into the halfback position as seen. Pochettino also used this tactic during his time at Southampton, so it is something that we are used to seeing and we could possibly see at Chelsea if Pochettino goes, and also used Wanyama in this anchor role. This left Spurs with almost a 1-2-2 in central zones of the pitch and made sure that they had complete control of the game in those central areas, usually having the numerical advantage during the central progression of the ball. In attack, Spurs had a variety of options going forward. The attackers were all comfortable on the ball and had the abilities to operate in spaces centrally or wide, especially with a centre forward who not only has incredible skill set but great lateral movement, which meant there was space behind him for runs. Again, very important while we have Mediterranean. He has that great off the ball movement, he likes to drop deep, but also he's got the vision and teamwork to allow those sort of runs, and he can play those sort of balls for those on forward runs. Eriksen was the focal point in which the attack moves. He notched 20 goals and assists in the campaign, alongside an outstanding 101 chances created, the most of any player in the league that season. As described before, Eriksen dropping into spaces leaves the trident of Son, Dele and Kane in advanced positions. The usual patterns of these 3 are explained. As described before, Eriksen dropping into these spaces leaves the trident of Son, Dele and Kane in advanced positions. Son usually kept width, his runs involved taking on the right back on or cutting inside, an option he has due to his great ability to play with both feet. Kane, a trait that has only developed more, often tried to receive the ball between the lines. Because of his ability, he warrants extra attention, so this either involved doubling up with a midfielder or a defender coming out. Dele pounced on this. The attacking midfielder's runs beyond Kane in behind were deadly. His 18 goals for the season were largely down to his excellent off the ball movement, which was guided around Kane. The pair had a great relationship, and also a friendship, apparently. The fullbacks were very important to the system. The fullbacks, as briefly touched on before, were a vital component in Pochettino's machine, especially breaking teams down who operated with a low block, which was a common sight. Many oppositions operated in this way, especially with the aim to clog and congest the middle of the park to nullify Kane and Dele Alli. Kyle Walker and Danny Rose with Kieran Trippier and Ben Davies at some parts of the season were key to Spurs' width, and it also allowed Son and Dele to become narrow and try to overload the middle of the pitch, knowing there's still a balance to their play with the fullbacks so wide. When defending, Spurs defended narrowly whenever possible, with their 4 attacking minded players pressing aggressively and one of their 2 deeper midfielders, Moussa Dembele in the example, happy to cover across in the half space in front of the fullback on the side where the opposition is attacking. Spurs rarely held a true shape when off the ball. Their aim is to shut down the player on the ball, impact Son, Dele, Kane in the example, in the intention of winning the ball back in dangerous positions and stop the opposition gaining rhythm in their build-up play. In transition, the fullbacks pushed high, often playing high as wingers, but would only be covered by one of the 2 midfielders, again pushing deep, Dyer in the example. This is why when Spurs moved to a 3-man defensive system during the match, it's a simple transition. The fullback are an auxiliary wide players in attack already, and Dyer, Wanyama are both used to dropping off. So that is the tactical analysis. You can read all of it with the link in the description below. What we are going to do right now is go into Football Manager and attempt to recreate this elite 4-2-3-1. So for this mini Pochettino rebuild, we did sell, terminate loans, and also sign some players. So who did we bring in? We brought in Mediterranean. He's sort of my Harry Kane. He's got the Harry Kane profile to him. He likes to try killer balls. He comes deep to get the ball, but also just his playing attributes. He's got good passing. He's got good technique, vision, work rate, teamwork. So he's got the Pochettino profile, the hard work, someone that can work hard for the team. I feel like I'm saying work hard a lot and hard work. But he's got high decision making, high concentration, a good composure, good bravery. For me, I believe he can play that sort of Harry Kane role. What we are doing is replicating peak Pochettino. So that is the 4-2-3-1 that he used at Tottenham Hotspur. And Mediterranean is going to be my Harry Kane. Will he sign for Chelsea in real life? Possibly not. I haven't seen any rumours, but in Football Manager, he is the perfect player for Chelsea. Well, the perfect player that was available for Chelsea. Next was Christopher Nkunku replacing Christian Eriksen in this 4-2-3-1. He's actually linked to Chelsea in real life. Is he going to Chelsea? I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. To be honest, I don't think anybody really knows what's happening at Chelsea. You talk to some, they say that Nkunku is a Chelsea player. You speak to others, they will tell you that it's not confirmed yet. We don't actually know. But what I have done in Football Manager is, of course, signed him. So we do have Christopher Nkunku, and he's going to play, well, he's going to be sort of my Christian Eriksen within the team. Now, we did also sign someone in January, and I signed him because Koulibaly was such a liability at the back. And I also needed someone that can play right back, centre back, and holding midfielder. He's very versatile, and he covers 3 positions. Again, he fits the Pochettino profile with working hard. He's got good teamwork, stamina, and natural fitness. What he does lack sort of is that determination, but he's sort of a squad player. He's solid. He's the backup for Reece James because Mal Gusto is still on loan to Lyon, and I couldn't recall him or terminate that loan in Football Manager. He's a good centre back. He's a good backup centre back, and he's also a good holding midfielder. Those were the incomings. Who did we get rid of? Hakim Ziyech, I don't believe he's got a great future at Chelsea, so he was actually the first person I got rid of to raise some cash. I did try to free up some wages as well. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is gone on loan to Rennes, but we didn't actually manage to get any money, any sort of wages for him. We're still paying 100% of his wages. Armando Broja as well, he has gone to Everton for £13 million. Dacho Fofana on loan to Trabzonspor. Hopefully he can get some experience before he comes back to Chelsea. We do have Christian Pulisic on loan to Milan. He's also got there's a fee, so there's an option for Milan to buy him. He's gone. He doesn't actually have any stamina. He does have stamina. He doesn't have any natural fitness. He has low balance, low strength. I don't necessarily believe he's going to be that good on the ball for us at Chelsea. And lastly, we loaned out Benoit Badiashile, who we actually had to recall halfway during the season. We terminated that loan, we got him back because once again, Koulibaly is such a liability. Now, within the squad, what you will have noticed, there is no Denis Zakaria or João Felix because I terminated those loans and they are no longer wanted. They are no longer needed. I am sorry, João Felix and Zakaria, but bonus, I have been able to register every single player for the Champions League. So that is how you do it, Todd. That is how you do it, Chelsea. Now, what we are going to do is break down the tactics and get Chelsea prepared. This is how I prepared Chelsea for the Pochettino reign. Now it's time to break down the tactics, set the tactics, and see how well Chelsea managed to do. So welcome back to FM, where we are going to now recreate this 4-2-3-1. So we are going to, let me just clear this. Let me clear this because I did actually pick what would my 11 be, which is Kepa in goal. So let's put Kepa in goal. Left back for me will be Ben Chilwell. Right back is Reece James. The right sided centre back for Fofana. Left sided centre back we are going to go with Thiago Silva. The left sided holding midfielder, sort of the Moussa Dembele role, we are going to go with Enzo Fernandez. The holding midfielder are sort of rotated during the season. It was Kante sometimes. It was also 1-5 when he was there. Kovacic, if I could afford to play the sort of another creative midfielder rather than a tackler like Kante. In the attacking areas on the left hand side, I did go with Modric. I did want Sterling, but Sterling got injured, as you can see here, a very bad injury. So a lot of the season, it was actually Modric. On the right hand side, we did play Christopher Nkunku, sort of replicating that Christian Eriksen role. In attacking midfield, I went with Mason Mount or Kai Havertz, and then lastly up top, of course, it will be Mehdi Taremi. So I can put, we should put Mason Mount here for now, and then for our holder midfielder, it would be Kante. Now, on paper, this doesn't necessarily look like a bad team at all, especially not on Football Manager. Now, if we're trying to replicate some of the movements with Chilwell, he will be sort of that wing back getting further forward, just like that. The halfback will drop into the back three. You have Eriksen dropping deep as well, sort of into this sort of position here. And then you have Dele Alli, Son cutting inside. And that is how Spurs can go into their 3-4-2-1. So we can kind of set the roles by doing that. So with the wing back, we're going to use wing back on support because we are expecting him to move further forward on the right hand side as well. Again, wing backs on support, both of them supporting the flanks. And then for our holding midfielder, Kante, like I said a little earlier, I think that we didn't actually use a halfback. I didn't like the way the halfback was being used in Football Manager in the match engine. So I went with the anchorman instead, which still isn't technically wrong, but we just wouldn't have that movement of Kante exactly dropping into a back three on purpose. And then for the Fernandez role, we are going to be using a Segundo Volante on support. Thiago Silva, we're going to use two ball playing defenders actually because we want some vertical passes. We want some passes into the center of the pitch. So we're going to use a ball playing defender on defend and then a ball playing defender on the cover on the right hand side for Fofana, just sweeping up, especially for the wing back. And then we're going to use a sweeper keeper on support, I guess, in goal. What I also like to do when using a 4-2-3-1 on FM as well is kind of just shift these two players just like that, make it a bit more asymmetric so we can kind of get a 4-4-2 if needed as well. For the Mudryk role, sort of that Son role, we're going to use an inverted winger on attack on the left hand side. For Christopher Nkunku, inverted winger on support. Then for the Dele Alli role, attacking midfielder on attack. And then lastly, Harry Kane, a deep line forward on attack as well. He's still going to drop deep, link up play for others, but he's also going to concentrate on getting in some goals. Get some goals for yourself, lad. Get some goals for yourself. Now, for the team instructions, I want the attacking width to be very, very narrow. I want a lot of things happening in the central areas, sort of what Pochettino would like. For the passing directness, we're using shorter tempo, which is going to leave it on standard, and to help with the fullbacks getting further forward and involved in the attacking play, we are going to ask both of the fullbacks to look for those overlaps. Well, I'm not asking the fullbacks to look for the overlaps. It's actually you're asking the wingers to look for the overlaps and then the dribbling as well. We're gonna ask for more running at the defenders. Pochettino's side are actually very attack heavy. Now, in transition, the fullbacks like to get further forward whenever Tottenham won the ball. So does the wingers, and one of the holding midfielders may get further forward. So we are going to use counter movements when possession has been won, and we're also going to be using counter press because I mean, we kind of went over the defensive analysis. They like to defend in packs. They like to hunt you down. They want to win the ball back. We're going to roll the ball out as well to the centre backs, or we could just distribute it quickly and just roll it out. Now, lastly, for the defensive instructions, Pochettino's sides also like to trap the opposition out in those wider areas. So that is exactly what we are going to do. We're going to shift this defensive line to much higher, the trigger press on much more often, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, and get stuck in to try and win those battles. So off the ball, we are fairly aggressive. We're not going to be trigger pressing often, or much more often, and pressing all the time trying to break up play, because there are moments where Tottenham did actually collapse back into a shape if the opposition did have lengthy spells of possession. The reason why I'm using much higher defensive line, I actually haven't used this at all in FM23, and I actually do find it effective because it makes the pitch small for the opposition. You are able to break their play down, and I did have players like Fofana, Chilwell and James that could sort of cover if a long ball went over the top. That is possibly one reason why I haven't used it much in other tactics, because it's not necessarily all the time I'm going to have a defense line that is actually fast and have good reading of the game as well as being fast. But at Chelsea, we do have that. But not to worry, because when you are playing the tougher opponents, of course, you're not going to be set up like that. So that is sort of the main version of the Pochettino tactic. As you can see with the completed one, it's the exact same. But what you may have noticed is that the intensity is actually a lot bigger in the completed version, and there is a reason why, because there are some player instructions like tackle harder, tackle harder, tackle harder, tackle harder. So it possibly does work, the tackle harder. Segundo Volante does get further forward and more direct passes. Mason Mount is roaming from his position. The inside foot winger on the right hand side sit more narrow, and then on the left hand side he doesn't have anything. Even the striker has tackle harder. So on top of the actual team instructions, it does seem like tackle harder player instructions is also adding a little bit more oomph. In it. So that's the main one. What happens when you're playing those tough teams away from homes, the Manchester Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Cities? Well, we have that tactic as well. The attacking width is now fairly narrow rather than a bang standard narrow, and in approach play we've removed overlaps. We're now passing directness on shot, which was before, but we're now operating with a much higher tempo, trying to get the ball from back to front fairly quickly, kind of more counter-attacking, as we say. So we have removed counter-pressing and out of possession as well. The defensive line has dropped by 1. But it's not just Chelsea we tested this. We also tested this at Espanyol. And if you do download the tactics, the Espanyol version will of course have ESP in brackets. So there is a slight tweak for these Espanyol versions, I believe. I'm going to find. So we do have drop off more. The defensive line has dropped by 1. We do also have drop off more as well, and we also changed the role on the left hand side because we struggled to find the left winger for some odd reason. And well, I used the winger that's just going to stay wide, and for some reason, it makes sense that now to why we can now find him, because he's less involved in central play and more just out on that touchline, and we can find him much easier. For the tough away games for the Espanyol, we've actually changed the striker's role as well to now a pressing forward, and everything else is pretty much the same as the tough away version on the other one. So if you're not a very good team like Chelsea but still want to try this tactic, don't worry, I have an Espanyol version for you. But now I guess it's time to have a look at those results that we got at Chelsea and Espanyol. So with Chelsea in the Premier League, we came second to Liverpool, 4 points behind Liverpool. We lost 5, 4 of those losses coming away from home to Tottenham, Newcastle, Fulham, Leeds and Liverpool. We also drew 7 games, 5 of those away from home. Those 5 away from home: Arsenal, Liverpool, Brighton, Brentford and City. So we didn't actually beat Liverpool because we lost and drew to them. But what we did do is win the Champions League. Chelsea and this competition, well, Real Madrid as well, because they also got to the final. So if we do have a look at our road to the Champions League final, in the group stage we had Frankfurt, Salzburg, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. And in the knockout stages we had PSV, Tottenham. So some of the Chelsea fans are going to be happy that we knocked out Tottenham. We smashed Liverpool in the Champions League. It's a shame that we couldn't do it in the Premier League. And lastly, in the final, we beat Real Madrid deservedly 2-0. Look at the match momentum. We completely dominated. Kai Havertz with a double. Koulibaly coming on. It is only right if we see those goals. So here is Sterling on the ball, plays it back to Chilwell. Chilwell to Thiago Silva. Fofana into Kante. What a ball to Havertz, and what a finish. Now for the second goal. Oh, whoa. Lads, you're playing too quickly. So Kovacic has the ball out on the flank, loses to Valverde. Valverde loses the ball to Kante in a very, very good position. Plays it to Mason Mount. Mount to Nkunku. Oh, what a pass. Mediterranean to Havertz. What a goal. So that is how we won the Champions League. We were the runners-up in the FA Cup, again losing to Liverpool, and we got knocked out in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup to Manchester United. So we done very, very well in every single competition that we were involved in. In the Premier League, we scored 85 goals, which is the second most, but we did have the most shots for and the fewest shots against, so we were very good going forward, and defensively we just couldn't finish our dinner in a lot of the games. Dribbles made, we come in 4th place, Newcastle, City and Leicester in the top 3, and most possession we come in the top 8 with 53%, so we are still seeing majority of the ball. Nkunku had 14 assists, Mason Mount with 13 assists, most key passes, Reece James is there with 112, Fofana with 5 man of the match awards as well. Dribbles made, Ben Chilwell, most clean sheets, Kepa in top 3, and then Kepa with the fewest conceded. So looking at some of the top goal scorers, we have Kai Havertz playing that Dele Alli role. He managed to score 21 goals in 45 games. If I go to stats, because I believe you couldn't see at the bottom there. So he's actually scored 21 goals in 45 starts with 5 assists, an average rating of 7.09. That's my Dele Alli. Mason Mount, he got 22 goals in 34 starts, 18 assists as well. I believe it's counting the England games here as well, which is a bit of a cheat. So Mason Mount got 20 goals and 18 assists at Chelsea, sort of playing that Dele Alli role. I mean, good versatility, right? So Mason Mount played attacking midfielder, and then sometimes Kai Havertz played up front, or Mason Mount played on the flanks. Kai Havertz in attacking midfield. We could rotate the team, which was a very, very good thing about this Chelsea team. Mediterranean, he got 20 goals as well with 13 assists. He got quite a few assists here. 33 goal contribution in 34 starts. Very, very good signing. I was a little bit surprised by Noni's performance. He got 17 goals in 34 starts, which was very, very good. I was very, very surprised by this performance. Nkunku got 9 goals, but a whooping 17 assists. So we've actually got a very creative side. And what you have noticed as well, the goals are shared. It's not just one player banging in all the goals. Actually, the goals are well distributed around the squad. And then lastly, we could look at Mudryk as well. 8 goals, but 14 assists. His XG was 9.10, so he's actually slightly underperformed. Looking at his attributes, that's understandable. He doesn't have great composure, decision making and finishing. If you add those sort of 3 attributes up, it's not great. So it's kind of understandable that he's underperforming with his XG. But how do we do at Espanyol? With Espanyol, we finished 3rd. Why Espanyol? Because he's managed them before, Pochettino. So Espanyol, we finished above Barcelona, our rivals. Oh my God. It is great times for Espanyol. But yeah, we finished 3rd. Champions League, here we come. And quickly for some stats, we scored the 5th most goals. We had the 3rd most shots for, the 4th fewest shots against. So again, good going forward, good defensively. Most clean sheets, joined 5th with Atletico. And then for the fewest conceded, we are joined with Espanyol, with Barcelona. So again, going forward and going backwards. But unfortunately, that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. My name is RDF, and today's video was all about Pochettino at Chelsea, requested by some of you guys. Shout out to my Patreons. I will see all of you guys soon, one day. Peace out, God bless, and shoot.